Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Witch Magic. It has been a long time. Oh my goodness, I miss doing the show so much, but life just got away from me. Everything's been so busy, and it's just been super crazy. So we just recently moved into a new apartment, and so we've been busy trying to get that situated and everything like that. We mostly get everything under control, but we're still unpacking some things and trying to sort through things and just trying to figure it all out. Our other apartment was just getting way too expensive. It was ridiculous. They were going up like $200 per month, like every year. And it got to the point where we're just like, yeah, we're not paying this amount of money for this. This is crazy. So we found a nice apartment in another place, and not too far away from where we were before. So it's pretty nice. We're still very close to family and everything, so that hasn't changed. But yeah, and so we just recently celebrated Easter, and yes, so I personally don't celebrate Easter in a religious sense, but most of my family does celebrate it. And they're not very religious about it either. I mean, some of them do go to church, but for the most part, they just kind of like just get together, and it's not like, you know, prayers or blessings or anything like that. It's just getting together as a family and having a good meal and just spending time together. We're a very busy family anyway, so my immediate family, we always spend it doing things. So many things have come up in the past couple of months. Birthdays, confirmations, celebrations of one kind or another. It's been crazy, but it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, so this Easter was a little bit different. We normally go to my mom and dad's, but this year my daughter Juliet wanted to have it at her new place because she just moved recently too. And so her and her boyfriend hosted Easter, and it was just me and my husband Chris, them, my daughter Daisy, her husband Chad, the two kids, my grandkids, and then her boyfriend, Juliet's boyfriend's Matthew's two kids. So it was just us. And and my son Matthew. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I forgot because he came a little bit late, but he was there. They had a nice spread of food, very delicious. So her boyfriend Matthew works in a restaurant. He is somewhat of a cook. He is a food connoisseur. So he does really well. But yeah, they were the perfect host, It was a very, very awesome afternoon. And so we ate, and I also made maple glazed chocolate chip cookies, which I have to say came out pretty good. Everyone seemed to like them. And yeah, so we had dinner, and shortly after dinner, we just kind of like sat around and talking for a little bit. And then the kids wanted to go to the playground. So right down the road is the kids' school, their elementary school. And there is a playground there, for when they have recess and stuff. And it's all open. Like, the public can go to it. It's, fine. Except during school hours, it's just for the kids, of course, just for the students. But, other people were there as well. They went on the playground. You get to play on the blacktop, things like that. And me and Chris were watching the kids and the grandkids throw the football around. They had like a little kids football, And at one point, it got thrown onto the roof of the school. And now the school building is just one story, all right? And it's got a flat roof. So it's really not that high up. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to get this ball down because it totally got stuck up there. So this woman was getting into her SUV, and she said that she'll pull her car up to the building and one of us can climb on the top to grab the football. And we were like, really? You're going to let us do that? That's awesome. She's like, yeah, you're not going to do any more damage to my car than it already is. So I guess it was an older vehicle, and she just wasn't that concerned about it. So my son is the tallest of out of all of us. So we volunteered him to climb onto the roof of her car to be able to reach the football on the roof of the building. But so the lady pulled up to the building, and I'm going to tell you, she pulled up as close to the building as she could possibly get without scraping. I mean, it was amazing. I would not be able to do that. I would be either too far away that you would have to reach and, you might fall because there's not going to be enough room, or there's going to be too much room, too much space between the car and the building. Or I would try to get so close that I would actually scrape up my car, scrape the side of the building. You know what I mean? But she did it perfectly, excuse me, as if she had done this many times before. So I don't know, maybe she has, who knows? But anyway, so it was so funny. So my son was getting ready to climb onto her car and reach the football when all of a sudden the wind started blowing, and the football, we could see it. It was on the edge of the roof that we could see it. But it started rolling down the length of the building. So it was rolling away and but staying on the edge of the roof. It was crazy. So we were like, oh, no, it's going that way. So the woman started entering her car closer and closer to the ball. It kept rolling away, and she kept getting closer and closer. And then finally it stopped. So she stopped, and my son was getting ready to climb up the car to get the football. And then it started rolling again, and we were like, no, it's going that way. So she started entering her car, and then it stopped again. And then she stopped. But then the ball rolled a little bit further and then stopped. And then all of a sudden it was teetering on the edge. And we were like, come on. And suddenly it just blew off the building, and we were able to get it without my son having to climb up on top of the woman's car. It was so hilarious. I'm going to try to see if I can get a video up for if you watch this on YouTube. I'll try to get the video. If not, then I'm not even going to mention this, but because I know my daughter Juliet did take some video, and it was just so funny that you had to have been there to see it. It was just hilarious. So after the kids played a little while at the school playground and whatever, we went back up to the house, and we kind of just hung around again, and I took out my cookies so that people could eat some of the cookies, and my daughter Darcy made taco dip and chicken buffalo dip, and she brought over some Tostitos chips, and she makes great dip, you guys. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. All the food there was excellent. Like, there was no complaints about anything at all. It was perfect. It was the perfect day. It was amazing. So, if you guys celebrate Easter, I hope you had a good one. I know that we do, Ostara, we kind of, we do welcome the spring equinox and everything like that in our own little ways. But, with the Easter being the kind of like the traditional holiday, international holiday. I mean, Ostara is too, but people mostly know it as the first day of spring. You know what I mean? Unless you're in the witchy world like we are. And then we know it as Ostara. But I did also make the kids up some baskets, all 4 kids. I got these little baskets and put some of the pink grass in it, the fake grass. And just like a bunch of goodies, I had to add Cadbury cream eggs because my granddaughter loves Cadbury cream eggs as much as I do. And so I made sure to put them in the baskets as well, among other goodies too. Stickers. There was like a thing of popcorn, colored popcorn, like rainbow colored popcorn in a carrot-shaped bag. It was so cute. And then some other candies and like little tiny jars of Nutella because the kids love Nutella, So yeah, that was pretty cool. So today I want to talk about green witchery. So if you are a green witch, then most likely you work with herbs in nature, right? So plants and herbs have unique qualities and can be used for medicinal and healing properties as well as other magical intentions. So working with the elements are included as working with nature since they represent earth, air, fire, and water. And what could be more natural than that? It could be very grounding working with nature, plants, and herbs because we grow right alongside with them. Green witches are mindful of taking care of our planet And don't forget, Earth Day's coming up too. So anytime I see someone litter or hurt trees and plants just because, it really bothers me. I don't know how many times, like, you're walking around or even driving around and you see litter all over the ground. Oh my goodness. It bothers me so much, you know. Sometimes I'll pick something up just because, you know, I want to get it out of nature. I want to get off the ground. It does not belong there. But in other times I'm like, well, damn it. Why should I pick that up? I'm not the one who threw it there. So I'm very conflicted because I'm like, I want to take it off the earth because it's hurting our earth, right? But at the same time, it's like, why is it my responsibility? You know what I mean? But, you know, every year during Earth Day, I always made it a point to take my kids around to clean up an area of the earth. A lot of the times we would go to our local playgrounds and pick up trash around there. And other times we would just kind of like go alongside, you know, a side of the road, you know, just going for a walk and see what we can find that we can pick up. We would take trash bags, gloves, you know, things like that with us. Oh, another thing is when you see kids hanging from tree branches. Now, when I was a kid, I used to climb trees, okay? But I didn't think that I was being very hurtful of them. Now, mind you, as a kid, you don't think you're causing any harm, right? But when I see kids, like, when there's like a branch hanging and they're hanging off the branch and it's bending and swinging off, and that kind of thing bothers me because I feel like they're hurting the tree, you know? So I don't know. I just get bothered by it. So anyway, being aware and intentional can actually help you live a more meaningful life. Just think about it, right? So one of my favorite authors writes books about green witchcraft. And as a matter of fact, her book was the first one in which I learned to cast a protective circle and do ritual work. This author's name is Anne Mora. And if you see any of her books in the store or you want to look her up online, you know, I really recommend her books. I highly, highly recommend her books. You'll learn a lot from them. Anyway, if you feel a strong connection to the earth's energy and you enjoy working with herbs and plants, then you are most likely a green witch. If you do not have the means to work with herbs, maybe you don't have the room to grow them or hang them to dry like you'd like, then there's nothing wrong with buying herbs as you need them. I do the same thing, actually. I tried growing my own herbs once. So as much as I consider myself a green witch, I do not have a green thumb. But, so I'm not good with starting plants. That's the thing. That's where my thumb is not green, okay? But if I have plants that are already started, then I am pretty good at maintaining them, you know, watering them when they need watering, making sure that they have the correct amount of sunlight, you know, things like that, the right amount, the right kind of soil, you know, whatever they need. You know, do your research and figure out whatever plants you're working with, planting, what do they need? And some herbs and plants cannot be put together. So you want to be mindful of that as well. So it's a really good idea to do your research before you start planting. Now, I do not feel bad about going to an apothecary and getting herbs. You know? And a lot of the times the herbs are already, I don't want to say they're all the way ground up, but they're enough that you can, if you need to grind them into a powder, it's easy enough to do. And I did do an episode, you know, showing how to use a mortar and pestle and everything like that. So if you haven't heard or seen that episode, you know, I suggest you go back to that if you want to learn more about it, because it is really cool. I did take a little video of me grinding herbs and showing them what they look like when you put them into a powder, and a little bit about, you know, herbs and what they're good for and stuff like that. So I do love working with herbs, but like I said, sometimes it's just easier and more efficient for me to go get herbs at the local shop. And even some herbs you can get at the grocery store. Just take them home and wash them and grind them up. would you need them, or just rip off the little leaves or whatever you need off of the herb. You know what I mean? Now, getting back to growing my own herbs. So when I lived in South Carolina a long time ago, I had a yard where I had enough space where I could grow my own little herb garden. And I was so excited to do it. So I found this website, and I'm going to do my research so that I could share the website with you. I think I've shared it before, but I'll certainly, if I can find it, I'll share it on this again, either on both the show notes of the podcast and on the description of the YouTube channel. But anyway, and I'll even probably pop the name of it on the screen. But anyway, I used to order already started plants from this company. And what they did was they would send the herbs they're already been planted, they already started sprouting, let me put it that way. So it's not just, you're not just getting the seeds and starting from scratch. They already started sprouting. You just need to maintain them for them to grow into what you need them for, right? So I don't remember all the herbs that I got, but I did get a whole bunch. I mean, I had a whole garden full of herbs. It was amazing. And, I would go out and harvest them when I needed them, when it was time, and use them for spell work or even recipes, things like that, for our food and whatnot. And I really loved it a lot. Another thing too is they added a worm into the soil. And I thought that was so cool because worms are really good for your plants, okay? They really made sure to add that with you. Now, if you're squeamish about worms, then you might not like that, but I have no problem with them. I don't mind them at all. I can pick them up and whatever. They don't bother me. But I just thought that was a really cool feature. But there was this one time, and I don't know if this particular thing, because I'm going to mention it in a minute, was attracted to a specific herb, or if it actually if there was eggs in the herb for some reason. I don't know, and I don't want to freak anybody out because I don't want this to, sway you from not wanting to plant herbs. But I went out there one day to work with my herbs, and there was a black widow spider in my herbs, in my garden. And I was like, holy crap. And that was the end. I ended up killing my herbs because I was spraying the crap out of the spider with it because I did not know how to get rid of it. You don't want to touch it. I mean, I don't want to touch a spider anyway, but especially that's a wicked poisonous spider, and I'm not about to die for an herb. I'm sorry. But, excuse me. But yeah, so I sprayed the crap out of the spider I am telling you, it took like a whole can of Raid to kill that spider. Now, yes, I normally will not kill a spider if it's outside because I feel like that's their home. Now, if it's inside, it's a different story. And I know I've talked about this before too. And I know some of you probably do like spiders, and you're probably like, oh, or maybe you don't like spiders, but you don't believe in killing them because they're part of the earth or whatever. But I'm sorry, but if they're in my home and they're invading my stuff, they're dying. Whatever. But if they're outside, I normally leave them alone. But this was a black widow spider. And I didn't want it anywhere near my home. It was right outside my back door. So, So, I had to kill it. And with that, I killed my herbs. And it was very sad. But at that point, I was kind of cringy about it anyway. And I wouldn't be able to harvest my herbs and use them knowing, thinking that there could be little eggs in them and everything. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. That was the end of it for me. But I have done a little bit of indoor growing of herbs. I don't have any right now, so I'm not able to show you. But, and man, I don't have any pictures. Back in those, I didn't think about taking pictures of that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't all over Facebook at that time and whatever. So it wasn't like, where am I going to show my pictures? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't have pictures or video of anything like that, unfortunately. But Yeah, that was the thing. So yeah, I don't want to discourage anybody from growing herbs. That probably was just an isolated incident, but I just kind of, I got discouraged after that. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? And then shortly after that, we moved anyway. So, and I didn't have a garden for a long time because I've been living in apartments. So I don't really have a space now except for the indoor. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, I have grown indoor herbs before. So it's just a matter of what you can do with them. But yeah, there is no shame in getting herbs at your local apothecary. No shame at all. And you're helping that small business, you know, make a profit. So you're helping your local small business. Okay? So think about it that way. All right, so where am I? I'm looking at my notes here. Let's see. Oh, another thing I wanted to say is taking herbal supplements. So you can make your own stuff as long as you do your research and you know about the herbs, you know about their side effects, you know what herbs you can put together and what herbs you cannot put together, things like that. But I like to buy herbal supplements because I know that professional people put them together and they know what they're doing. So I trust that. But you still need to do your research. And I've talked about this before. I don't know how, like if you've been following along with this podcast, then you know. But if you're new here or you haven't listened to every episode, a couple years back, was it? Yeah, probably about 2 years back, maybe not even. I started taking this herbal supplement for weight loss. And I took 2 doses of it, 2 days worth of doses. And all of a sudden, I started breaking out into hives. It got so bad. My whole body was on fire. I did not have an inch of my body that was not welted up. It was ridiculous. I was so miserable. And not to mention, since this was internal, it takes a while for it to go away. It's not like as if you rub something on your body and you got the reaction from it and it goes away almost either right away or maybe even the next day. No, this lasted in my body for over a week, even with just the 2 doses. And I know what it was. It was black cohosh. So apparently I'm allergic to black cohosh. And because the other herbs that were in it, I have taken before. And so that was the only one that I've never experienced before, whether internally or externally. I've never worked with black cohosh. So this was really, really new to me. And so I really strongly believe that was the herb that did me in. So, oh my gosh, but it was so horrible. I went to the emergency room like several times and they put me on Benadryl. They, gave me this topical cream, whatever. It only did so much. You know what I mean? I had to take time off work. It was horrible. It was horrible. I had never experienced anything like that in my life. When I say there was no inch on my body that was clear, I am being 100% on it. Maybe my nose and my eyes, you know what I mean? But everything else, oh my gosh, it was horrible. I was on fire. It was so miserable. I couldn't even stand to wear clothes. That's how bad it was. It was so irritating. I was crying. It was bad. So, yes, please, as a disclaimer to you, do your research on the herbs. Talk with your doctor. And, kind of like, because even like medications that you're taking, prescription medications, even over-the-counter supplements, things can interact and you can have adverse reactions to things, not melding well together. You know what I mean? So always do your research. If you do get an allergic reaction, whether it's breaking out into hives or, your throat starts closing up, your eyes get super watery and you're sniffling as if, you're, like seasonal allergies often do to us, or heaven forbid you start asphyxiating, seek immediate medical help. Okay? If you want to know more about that, please check back with earlier episodes. I'll look back to see exactly what episodes I've talked about herbs so that I can add them to the show notes in the description so that you can go back and listen or watch those episodes to talk about herbs. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about some of the most common herbs that people use and that you can easily get in your household. So chamomile can be made into a tea and can be used for relaxation and to help calm anxiety. And you can also make a wash with it to treat rashes caused by radiation treatments. Feverfew is known for treating, fevers, right? It's also great for preventing migraines if you are prone to them. You can chew on the leaves to help with an upset stomach due to poor digestion. Garlic has been known to fight germs and reduce inflammation. You can also use it to lower blood pressure and cholesterol. Ginger is a strong antioxidant and can also help with nausea and motion sickness. Ginkgo is widely known to boost your memory and help prevent dementia. But it can also be used for asthma, bronchitis, and fatigue. It has also been known to help with tinnitus, when you get the ringing in your ears. Ginseng is an energy booster and can also improve your sex drive. Milk thistle is good for high cholesterol and liver problems. St. John's wort can help with mild depression. Valerian root is used to treat problems with sleep and anxiety. Always do your research and make sure that herbs you decide to use won't interfere with any other medications you may be taking. Everything can come with side effects. Everything can come with side effects. Just remember that. If you experience any bad reactions, seek a doctor right away. Okay? I can't stress that enough. So, how can you work in nature? Any way you want to, really. Go outside, take walks, plant flowers, herbs, and other plants. Talk to the trees. Do ritual work outside if it's safe to do so. And if you've got some privacy. And as long as you feel comfortable, right? You can even get a job working with nature. There's all kinds of different things. Work in a greenhouse. Become a landscaper. Take professional pictures of nature. Study to become a horticulturist. Be a tour guide or a park ranger. How about an environmental scientist? Be like Indiana Jones and become an archaeologist. That would be fun. How about being a geologist? The study of rocks. So there are more jobs than you think to get you working outdoors and in nature every day. So green witches mostly work with nature and herbs, but what about crystals and stones? Of course! After all, they are a part of nature. So I mentioned geology is a job, which is the study of rocks. So there you go, right? And I did do an episode on crystals and stones and everything like that, so be sure to check that one out as well. In a nutshell, green witches work to promote balance and well-being. And we use herbs, plants, and crystals to do so, as well as using the environment around us. The natural world is alive with magical properties and energy, so use it, right? So I do want to draw an oracle card for you, and since we're talking about green witchery, I decided to use my Green Witch Oracle deck because I thought it would be super fitting, right? So this deck, I've said before, is one of my favorites because not only does it, it's about like herbs and plants and everything like that, but it also gives you like spells and, resources to working with this herb and when to plant it and everything like that. The plant, so it's really cool. And oh my gosh, I haven't shuffled my oracle cards in a while. And okay, one just jumped out. So we're going to go with that one. And it's the healing one. So let's see. Let me find the page that it's on so I can read it to you. La 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 la. It's number, let's see. It's card number 37, so that's what I'm looking for. Okay. And just to remind you, because I know it had been a while since I'd done this, this deck is called Green Witch Oracle, and it's by Sherilyn Dassey. So if you get a chance to pick that up, I highly recommend it because it is a really good resource thing. All right. Excuse me. Healing. And of course, the picture on the card is a geranium. And here's a little quote. Gardening is cheaper than therapy, and you get tomatoes. And that's an anonymous author. So, okay, oracle meanings. It is time to take everyone's opinion into account, and while you may need to make a compromise, there should be a good outcome. Geraniums indicate you need to take time out to care for yourself and connect more fully with your higher and lower self. Cooperation with others and creativity in groups are also needed, while intolerance and self-indulgence are to be avoided. So the cultivation, this is when it lets you know when to plant this specific flower, In cold areas, plant geraniums in spring. In temperate places, from midwinter to mid-spring, and in tropical zones, from late autumn to mid-spring. They love full sun and very well-drained, moderately enriched soil, and can benefit from pruning to maintain a good shape. Flowers will blossom in about 16 weeks, and vase life is only a few hours if the flowers are already open, although buds will last a few days. And the magical correspondences are, the uses are for comfort, virility, peace of mind, love, and happiness. The deities are Freya, Thoth, Apollo. The celestial is Venus, and the astrological sign is Aries. And here is a healing spell. Mix up a crystal water remedy to promote healing. Place a few geranium flowers, a clear quartz, and a bloodstone crystal in a lovely jar and fill with water. Sip as needed to promote healing on all levels. Keep refrigerated for 3 days. The crystals can be washed and reused. And there you go. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for coming back and for being patient for me when I was away for so long. If you have any ideas for show episodes, topics, anything like that, please email me at dawnswitchmagic@gmail.com. Also, if you have any poems you want to add, things like that, any stories you want to add with your experiences, I would love to add them to an episode and everything like that. So, yeah, thanks for stopping by and be magical. Thank you for tuning in to Witch Magic. If you like this show, please head over to Apple or Spotify and give me a 5-star rating and a review. It will really help with the algorithm of the show and to help people find it. Thank you.